What's going on at FA Nation? It's time for our Thursday edition of, I guess it's injury report updates this week. Also, we're going to be talking about playoffs. We're going to be helping you get ready. We will be taking your start-sit questions. We'll have a shorter edition tonight since there is no Thursday night football, but we will get to your questions. Before this live stream, we were already in a heated debate. It's anxiety. It's a lot going on right now. Guys, you come to us and you say this is a must-win week. We get it. It's a must-win week for everyone. So we're gonna help you out. Adam, how are you tonight?
I'm good. It's a very unusual week, just because we had Wednesday football. It's just kind of thrown off the routine. Rankings couldn't get done till last night. Now, the good thing with that is we have several days before we have to set our lineup with no Thursday game. We have until Sunday. And then we have 2 games on Monday and then a Tuesday game. So it'll be another weird week next week. But it gives people time to figure out their rosters. Waivers in some formats was moved to different days. Like, I have a sheet and I just have everything and I go through it. And this week I'm just like, okay, wait, that one ran, this one ran. So, yeah, it's very weird. And a lot of waivers will run tonight. So just have to adjust. And, yeah, this is a big week for a lot of people trying to fight for playoff spots or even just trying to get that bye.
Yeah, and I mean, no stress or anything. You send us an email in the GST League that, this is the last chance we have to make waiver claims. I mean, I'm freaking out over here, Adam.
Why are you freaking out over that?
This is my last chance. What am I going to do? What if somebody gets COVID? What am I going to do?
We have 9 bench spots.
That's right. No, I'm actually totally cool with it. I think it's fun. I think it's a fun twist. It keeps it cool. And you got to be thinking ahead. And you guys out there have leagues that are all different and have specific quirks and rules. And to me, as long as everybody understands the rules, it's fair. As long as everyone plays by the same rules, it doesn't really matter what the rules are. The rules apply the same to everyone. So if you got to put in a substitute last week, for instance, let me talk about a situation. In the GST League, Adam, very kindly, as a very, very good commissioner, I must pat him on the back, said to us, if you want, you can put in the message note on the message board so everyone can see it. There's witnesses who you want to sub if the Baltimore game doesn't go. So I had Juju Smith-Schuster. So I said, mind you, I should also qualify. All my other leagues, I didn't start any of my Steelers. I just didn't feel comfortable about it. I said, if Juju doesn't go, I want to start Latavius Murray. Guess what? That backfired on me. Juju went, but Latavius Murray would have gotten me a lot more points, and points matter in this league. However, I did not go to Adam and say, well, this really isn't fair because Latavius, I would have put in Latavius if you didn't give us the option and blah, 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 blah. So you guys don't come to us with the whiny sob story. Sometimes life just sucks and you just deal with it because everybody's playing by the same rules.
Yeah, I mean, some people didn't have that option. I just felt it was because we did it earlier this year with the Tennessee Buffalo game. So it's not fair to do it that one time and then not do it again. And I wasn't affected in this situation at all. So it wasn't personal. I had Benny Snell, but I wasn't going to start him with the team I have anyway. So I had no reason to wait around. But I just think it's just fair to give people the option. And, in some leagues, you don't even have it. You have to make that decision. Hopefully commissioners were lenient about it and gave you that decision. But it can't create any division and arguments. You can't go back, well, this guy scored this many points and I want him in. No, it's clear cut. You put it on the message board. This is what you decide. That's it. There's no argument, no discussion. You made the decision. It doesn't matter if the guy you had potentially, if the game wasn't played, score more points. No, that's not what this is about. You don't get to sit and watch the results and plug these players in.
And then pick.
Tennis works.
That's called best ball, guys.
Yeah,
you let them do it for you. And it's not fun, actually. Best ball isn't nearly as much fun as managing your team in season and feeling really smart when you pick up James Robinson on the waiver wire for $1. Okay? That's fun. Best ball is cool too, but you take the ups and the downs.
I like best ball to prep for the year instead of mock drafts, which we used to do years ago. I think those have kind of been replaced by the best ball because it's a little bit of different strategy. But it helps you get in the draft mode and, you put some money down and you could potentially, win some money as well.
Actually end up with money at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just hit some basic, let's hit a few of the injuries that have popped up. Obviously, Daniel Jones is one that a lot of you may have on your rosters that you may be concerned about. His hamstring's still bothering him. Last I heard, he is still traveling with the team and there's an outside chance he will play. New York Giants sit atop the NFC East. I hate to say it, but I think the Giants actually really need Daniel Jones. Do you think they're going to push him to play?
My guess, if I had to guess now, I'm gonna say he doesn't play. Hamstrings are very tricky, and he came back in the game last week and just couldn't stay. So I would like to see him play. I mean, I could care less about the division as a Cowboys fan at this point, but I do have Daniel Jones in a super flex league. But I think I'm probably not going to play him regardless if he goes at this point. I mean, it just seems like he's not going to be able to get in a lot of practice. And if they do force him out on the field, this looks like a situation where it can easily be aggravated. So we still have a few days to figure this out. But my inclination right now is he doesn't go.
Okay. Julio Jones also not practicing today. Doesn't look like Kenny Galladay will be back this Sunday. Josh Jacobs. Where are we with Josh Jacobs? Do we think he does have a sprained ankle? I will tell you, I will admit, well, no, wait, I'm not going to admit anything about what I'm making waiver claims for because you people out there are sneaky and you're getting really mean. So do you think Josh Jacobs plays on Sunday is my question.
I'm not sure. I mean, he's missed two practices now. He, looked like he was in pain. We've seen him play through injuries before and not be effective. So I'm really not sure about Jacobs. I did see a beat writer say that he expects there's an 80% chance he plays, so that's kind of good news. But if somehow he's available, and I know I've talked about him the last couple of weeks on some of the waiver wire shows I did, Devontae Booker should be added. I said a few weeks ago, like, there comes a point in the season where most of your bench should be backup running backs because all it takes is one injury for that back to move up and become relevant. And we've seen numerous examples over the last few weeks and throughout this year. Mike Davis early in the year, but over the last few weeks, Gio Bernard, Duke Johnson. I know Brian Hill was trash, but you want to have those players on your rosters in case they are successful. And the Jets are very good against the run, though. The way to beat them is through the air, but Devontae Booker could easily finish a couple of drives with a touchdown, catch a few passes as well. Jalen Richard, I know, has missed time. I don't know. I haven't checked the injury report to see if he's back and what his status is for this week. But, yeah, I mean, Devontae Booker might be out there. I picked him up in a couple of leagues over the last couple of weeks, but someone did pick him up in a league I was in today. So he could still be out there.
Yeah, he is out there in a few leagues I've seen. What is your concern level? So apparently DeAndre Swift was activated just shortly ago, released from concussion protocol, but reports were out earlier that Adrian Peterson was saying he's concerned about the way why are words hard for me? DeAndre Swift is feeling that he didn't have his normal energy. He just didn't seem right. Are you concerned? I mean, there's a lot going on in Detroit. Let me ask you this. Who do you think wins this game, Detroit or Chicago? Because I know Bender and Mish like to do the stat about when they fire the head coach, they come back. But with this beat-up Detroit offense, no Kenny Galladay, DeAndre Swift in this situation, Matt Stafford with the bum thumb, I'm feeling like it could be the Bears. Bears.
I lean towards Detroit +3. I just don't think the Bears are that good. Hakeem Hicks is a big injury to watch for on the defensive line. They're just not the same defense without him. But I could see Detroit playing well. And I think it's just a human element thing where you have a coach that you probably don't like and he's gone. And it just feels like a huge weight has been lifted. We've all worked in environments where you might have a superior that you don't like. And regardless, it can affect your mood. And once they're gone, it's just like, you feel refreshed. So that could be the case with Detroit.
It's how I feel every Thursday live stream with you, Adam.
Yeah, I know. So the thing with Swift and Peterson's comments, it's very weird. Like, why the hell was Adrian Peterson even talking like that? And
it was weird.
Maybe it was a sickness, though. Because they said, like you said, he's been cleared from concussion protocol, and it was an illness non-COVID related. So maybe he was just sick, and maybe that's why he didn't have energy. Peterson wants to play.
He wants to play.
It's just weird that those comments came from him and not a coach. So when I first saw it, I was like, oh, man, we're not going to see Swift. But Friday will be a big day. Look, I want DeAndre Swift to be fine for him as a person. We all talk fantasy, but that's some serious stuff when you have a concussion. We've seen guys have their careers ended and not be the same. So I hope he's okay. For my fantasy team, I hope he's fine and can come back, even if it's not this week, because I have him in some pretty important leagues. So this week is not in those leagues I have. Well, one of them, it's do or die. well, I shouldn't phrase it like that. It's win or go home, so I could use him. So I'd like to see him play. I mean, Friday will obviously tell the big story, and then by Saturday we'll know for sure. So hopefully it was just a result of him being sick and not, after effects of a concussion.
Yeah, I hope so. Any other injuries you think we should note before we head over to take some of these questions that are popping up?
Yeah, I mean, we got to keep an eye on the Miami situation. Only a quarterback.
Oh, right.
And running back. Yep. Does Myles Gaskin make it back this week? He's been practicing for a couple weeks now, and it looks like they'll probably activate him, but that might not be made until Saturday afternoon.
I'm staying away.
To his thumb. I mean, what's going on here? Because Ryan Fitzpatrick would be a good streamer against the Bengals.
Man, Fitzpatrick is so much better for our fantasy rosters. Can we just at least get one definite more week of Fitz? Because it's just much better for all of us, especially Devontae Parker managers like me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you have Devontae Parker, you want to see Fitzpatrick in there.
And Mike Gesicki. Yeah, I want Fitz.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people are playing Gesicki, but tight end's rough, so maybe you are. We don't know about Lamar Jackson's availability for Tuesday. Harbaugh wouldn't say whether he'll be available. You mentioned Julio Jones did not practice today, so that's definitely a concern.
Right. Ridley also was limited, but I think DJ Chark and Chris Conley were both limited in practice, but they are back in practice, so they're trending upward. So fingers crossed they'll be able to be on the field versus the Vikings.
Yes, I need DJ Chark to be out there.
I do too. I desperately need DJ Chark because I lost Will Fuller in a league, and if DJ Chark doesn't come through, I went from winning this league to definitely being embarrassed. So I need some DJ Chark. All right, hopping over. Quarterback streamer this week. Wentz, Cousins, Trubisky, or Rivers? I'm on Facebook if y'all want to follow us.
I will go with Cousins this week.
Cousins.
Yes, he's been playing well. Thielen should be back. The only concern there is if they build like a 14-17 lead, that they just become very reliant on the run. But Jacksonville's been pretty competitive, even with Mike Glennon. He was okay last week. So I'll go Cousins there.
Yeah, I agree. I would also go Cousins there. I do like the other options too. I have Henry and Chubb locked into running back positions. Congratulations. I have Zeke. Must I start him in the flex in a PPR? Because my other choices are Duke, Johnson, and Akers. I can't believe I have to ask this. Yes, you have to start Zeke.
For those guys, yeah, I don't think Zeke is a must start at this point, though. Especially,
but he is over Duke Johnson or Cam Akers.
Yeah, well, David Johnson could be back, and even if he's not, it's not. Duke hasn't done much. He did have that nice receiving touchdown, and maybe he does get more targets with Fuller out, but I can't count on that. And I like Akers, but I'm still not ready to say, yeah, he's the guy. I mean, it's Sean McVay. He could easily go back. Right. We all can see Akers is the best back right now. Right. Henderson has not been the same for the last several weeks, whether that quad injury is bothering him. But in a critical week, it's still a little dicey to go all in on Akers just yet.
Yeah, I agree. I have Akers on my bench in a league, and I'm hoping he's going to help me down the stretch, but I don't feel comfortable playing him yet. Hooper, Jonnu, Logan Thomas, Burton, or Akins in a PPR. I'm going Hooper this week. What's your choice?
Yeah, I'm going to go Hooper. This game total's around 53, which is very high, but should be a game where they throw a little bit. Jonnu Smith always has a shot at a touchdown, but man, he didn't get a target last week. He's blocking a lot more, so it's just risky. Yeah. I agree. Touchdown. But I'll go Hooper. But the one guy who wasn't mentioned there, and he could be on waivers, who I would go with if Irv Smith's out, is Kyle Rudolph. He's running a ton of routes, and he had a good game last week. I picked him up and used him when Mark Andrews was out. So Kyle Rudolph's definitely in that conversation.
I like him as well. PPR flex, Marvin Jones or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did have an illness and didn't practice today. Probably nothing. They didn't say it was COVID related. But keep your eyes on that. But assuming they're both healthy, Marvin Jones or Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
I'm still going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There's always a chance that he could score a touchdown, finish off a drive. I know they throw a lot, and it's been frustrating, and they don't throw to their running back slot. But you have to understand, when you see this Kansas City offense, you got Mahomes. He throws downfield, man. He's not checking down to the running backs. He has Kelsey, Tyreek Hill. Like, why would you check down? So that's really the big issue. But Marvin Jones is – I know there's probably no Galladay and everything. It's this offense for Detroit is still a problem. So I'm gonna go with Edwards-Helaire. Better offense and better chance to finish off a drive with a touchdown.
Okay. Standard flex league. Need one. Aguilar, Kuti, or Gordon.
That would be Melvin Gordon, right? And that's a
I'm assuming.
Standard? That's a standard?
Yes, standard. So we're going for a touchdown here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
probably
Melvin.
Aguilar.
Well, Aguilar didn't practice today either. That's 2 days in a row.
That's true.
For him.
He did not practice.
Aguilar's not a bad play this week, but I would still go Melvin Gordon because Lindsey's banged up as well. So when Lindsey's out, you don't see as much of a split, and Gordon is still getting the goal line carries. So I would go Gordon there. I mean, Aguilar, if he plays, is not a bad one either because the Jets are just horrible in the secondary.
They are. Full point PPR. Jonnu Smith, Evan Ingram, or Hayden Hurst? Ingram.
Yeah, it's Ingram. Even with Colt McCoy, he'll look for him over.
Flex full point PPR. Boyd, Rager, Pittman, or Dobbins?
I'm gonna go Dobbins here.
I want to go Dobbins too.
Yeah, I think we started to see a shift towards him. Then he missed this game. Gus Edwards didn't do much. I thought Justice Hill looked pretty good. I was a Justice Hill fan last year. It didn't work out. But I think they go to Dobbins. You know, they need wins now. This is no time to mess around with this stupid 3-back committee. They need to win games. They're 6-5. They go against Dallas. I'm going Dobbins here. You know, Boyd, I like him, but obviously not as much with Allen at quarterback. Right. But I'm going Dobbins.
Rager's a no. Pittman is the only other one I like here because they do expect a lot of points in that game. But I got to tell you guys, I don't know if you've paid a lot of attention to games between Houston and Indianapolis, but T.Y. Hilton owns Houston. I don't know why, but he owns them. And that doesn't mean he will this week, but he came onto the scene last week when we thought it was going to be Pittman. So do not discount T.Y. Hilton. That's just a random thought from Jen. Okay, sit one in the standard league. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Miles Sanders, or David Montgomery?
This is the week. I know you hate David Montgomery, but you got to play David Montgomery this week. So was Montgomery.
It's a must start.
Yeah, I would sit CEH there. I know Sanders was frustrating last week, but hopefully they get smart and realize you can run on Green Bay. I don't know what they were doing last week, why they didn't use Sanders more in the run game. It made no sense, but we've seen everyone run on Green Bay, including the aforementioned David Montgomery, who, looked pretty good against them.
Yeah, I mean, David Montgomery had his first 100-yard game of the season. That's how easy it is to run on Green Bay. Well, David Montgomery gets Detroit next, who is even worse than Green Bay. So, yeah, Montgomery is mandatory. And Miles Sanders is mandatory this week, too. You just have to assume Doug Peterson's going to do the right thing. It's annoying when he keeps, giving Corey Clement and Boston Scott the goal line carries and Miles Sanders is doing all the work. But hopefully we can just trust in Miles Sanders this week. I hope so, because I have him in GST.
Yeah, he did drop 2 passes last week, but they didn't even attempt to run the football. He had 6 carries. It's like, it's one thing if your quarterback's playing great. Carson Wentz
didn't use him.
Yeah, it made no sense.
You don't love Carson Wentz? Come on. Pick one in the standard league. Brandon Ayuk or Michael Pittman?
Oh, Pittman there. Ayuk could be back, and we've seen big games from him, but Deebo Samuel's still there. Deebo didn't practice today with the hamstring, but they said it's precautionary. So I'm going to go Pittman against a bad Houston secondary. And, Pittman didn't have a big game last week, but he did get 9 targets. So that's a good sign.
I'm going Pittman as well, but I sure would like to see something out of Brandon Ayuk this week. I will tell you that. Okay, let's go back over to Facebook. We have some more questions. Flex half-point PPR. Crowder, Kirk, Jamal Williams, or Dobbins?
Dobbins for me.
Dobbins, okay. I like that. Ingram or Austin Hooper? Evan Ingram or Austin Hooper? Ingram over Hooper?
Yes.
Okay. Ingram over Hooper. I might go Hooper over Ingram because Tennessee is pretty bad versus the tight end. But yeah, Evan Ingram led the team in targets last week, didn't he?
Yeah. I mean, and McCoy will probably look for him quite a bit. So
Yeah, I like that. I like that call. Matt Ryan or Kirk Cousins?
This week, I like Cousins. I mean, Matt Ryan, we've seen is just not the same without Julio Jones, and the Saints defense is good. And we saw them struggle against the Saints defense a couple weeks ago. Doesn't mean it won't happen again. They could make adjustments, but it's tough to have faith in Matt Ryan right now. Again, the only risk with Cousins is if they get out to a big lead, say they are up 14-0, 17-0, that's where you worry is that they could just shut it down. So you got to hope that Jacksonville can be competitive. I mean, either way, I mean, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson are two of the best receivers this year. And, even if he's limited on pass volume, he could throw 250, 2 touchdowns. So I think that's what you'll take out of him.
Yeah, this could be a really massive game. Also, I think it's like all second string cornerbacks this week for Jacksonville too. They're super beat up, besides the fact that they're easy to beat anyway. Let's see, the 5th most fantasy points so far this year to wide receivers, the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing quarterbacks. It seems to me, you look at this and you've seen Kirk Cousins has thrown for 3 games over 300 yards this season. So he has the ability.
And the other thing, too, is keep this in mind. They said Dalvin Cook's really banged up. They might look at this game and say, you know what? Let's ease up on Dalvin Cook. This is a great matchup we can exploit in the secondary. Let's just pass the ball a little bit more this week and save the wear and tear on Dalvin Cook, because this team is still in playoff contention. They get a win this week, they're 6-6, and they're right there.
They could also go to Alexander Madison a little bit to rest Cook. But I read a quote from Cook yesterday that said he was absolutely fine. He was ready to go, and he's ready to tear it back up.
Oh, no. I'm not saying don't play Cook. I'm just saying maybe they don't give him 25 to 30 touches this week, and it's more 17 to 19.
Evenly.
This is a matchup that we can win with our receivers, so let's not go run heavy this week. I don't know if they'll do it. I'm just speculating.
Yeah. All right, PPR, Marvin Jones or Tim Patrick?
I'm going to go Jones there. I mean, Patrick's not terrible, and they're going to be throwing quite a bit against Kansas City, even though Kansas City's pretty good against the pass, but I'll go Marvin Jones there.
I like that. So what do you think about if DeAndre Swift doesn't play, is it Adrian Peterson or Kerryon Johnson's backfield?
Split. I think we kind of saw it last week. If they're competitive in the game, it'll be Peterson. If they're playing from behind, it's Kerryon Johnson. And I don't know if you can predict this game script. We alluded to it before. The Bears are favored by 3. So they're basically saying, close game. So I prefer Kerryon Johnson because, again, Adrian Peterson needs touchdowns. I know he scored 2 last week, but he did nothing. So if they're not near the goal line, Peterson's not breaking a 28-yard run. Now watch him do it this week, but he's not. So Kerryon Johnson's the better guy in PPR.
Who's your top-ranked quarterback for this week?
I think it's Mahomes.
Of course. Who are your top 5? Who would you say your top 5 are? Mahomes, Russ?
I don't know. Let me see. Hold on. Let me
Did
go.
Did he make the top 5?
He might. Yeah, I think he still did, even though I just hate what they're running a lot more.
I hate it too.
They're running a lot more. Mahomes, Watson, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, Russell Wilson. Wait a second.
So let's talk about...
No, that's the wrong week. I was going to say, where the hell's Aaron Rodgers? My bad. I was looking at week 12. Mahomes, Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Josh Allen, Justin Herbert.
Okay, Justin Herbert. Okay, good. I'm glad you feel that way. I need that confirmation. I have a couple questions for you. One, what is your concern level with Kyler Murray? Because, his quotes after the game, I didn't need to throw. They were reading my plays, so I didn't do the same thing. All this, my shoulder's not really bothering me, but then he's limited in practice. Should we be worried about starting Kyler Murray? He kind of put up a dud last week, as did Josh Allen and Justin Herbert, by the way.
Yeah, I think you go back to most of these guys. If I don't have Kyler Murray, but if I had him, I'm going to play him. I think they bounce back. I think they actually win this game. I don't think they're that good, but I think this is a spot where they're going to play well. I don't think the Rams are that good either. I've been saying it all year and then kind of look bad with the way they play Tampa, but then they go lose against San Francisco. So I think this is going to be a game we see a lot of points. So I expect Kyler Murray to bounce back this week. I do have him ranked lower than usual, but he's 7th. I mean, I don't see where's the situation you're benching Kyler Murray? I don't see
Well,
many.
yeah. Well,
I mean,
my
if you have
Scott
Kyler
Fishbowl.
Murray and Aaron Rodgers, yeah, I'll play Aaron
Um,
Rodgers over Kyler Murray.
yeah. Let me ask you this. What are your expectations for Deshaun Watson with no Will Fuller? Because basically, here's the Texans. First, they get rid of Kenny Stills. Then Randall Cobb goes to the IR. Then they lose Will Fuller. Can this team take any more hits? Okay, yeah, Kiki Kuti. So now he's the number 2. But Kiki Kuti is prone to injury. Where do we go here? Do you think it's going to go more to Duke Johnson being the pass-catching running back? Do you think they're going to do more? I think they'll do more tight end sets is my guess. Akins and Fells being the more red-end target. Isaiah Coultier maybe as a long dart. I don't. What's going to happen? Because I feel like we're still ranking Deshaun Watson pretty high. Vegas still expects this game to put up a lot of points. Where are they coming from? Because they're sure as hell not coming from a run game that's like the second worst in the league.
Yeah, now Watson's been playing great this year ever since O'Brien's gone, so I'm really not worried about it. I know his splits in his career without Fuller aren't great, but he still has Brandon Cooks. They're talking about Akins coming out of the slot. Kuti, Isaiah Coulter might get a shot, so I'm not worried about it. I'm not moving him down until I see him really affected by it. And I know the Colts are a pretty good defense here, who might get some pieces back. They weren't good last week. They had DeForest Buckner was out, Autry was out, so we'll see. They might get some pieces back, but Deshaun Watson's just played too well all year. So I'm going to keep, and he didn't have, he had Fuller last week who had the big game. Let's be honest, one of them, he was wide open on a trick play where it didn't matter who the receiver was, they were going to score.
That Sandlot play?
Yeah. So Watson, I'm going to continue. I don't have him, but I would continue rolling him out until he proves otherwise. And again, look at the quarterbacks we're talking about behind him. Like, are you going to play? Do you really feel, oh yeah, I can play Ben Roethlisberger with him and Kirk Cousins and Carr Fitzpatrick? No, man, I'm going to keep rolling with Watson. He runs a little bit, so I'm not worried about it right now. I need to see like 2 games in a row where he's really shut down for me to be concerned.
Third most passing yards per game in the league, Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans. I think they fly slightly under the radar because of their losing record, because they had such a tough start to the season. But Deshaun Watson is criminally undervalued everywhere, in my opinion. I just hope they get him, Allen Robinson, as soon as possible. Okay, need 4 out of these in a PPR. Kupp, Lamb, Aguilar, Kirk, Myers, Ayuk, Perriman.
Kupp is a lock.
Kupp is a lock.
He's in. He's put up good numbers against Arizona. I'm going to go Lamb because Baltimore's weakness is in the slot. Then I'm going to go Jacoby Myers, although he's probably going to see Casey Hayward, which is tough, but I'll go with him. And then I'll go
Aguilar, Kirk, Ayuk, Perriman.
Comes down to Kirk or Ayuk for me. Probably go Kirk because Ramsey probably is on Hopkins.
Yeah, which is on DeAndre Hopkins. That's what I think too. I agree. I like that. Who's your top ranked running back this week for PPR?
I believe it's Cook. Let me double check. It is Dalvin Cook. Yeah.
Our league has a few IR spots. Is Kittle worth adding during the playoff run?
Yeah, look, if you have an IR spot and you could add him and don't drop anyone, sure. I hate that rule. In the leagues I have where there's IR, I say you can pick up a player that's on IR. You can't put them in an IR spot because I hate it. That's the one part I don't like. But some leagues don't have that rule. So if you have open IR spots and you have the ability to add Kittle off IR, sure, you have nothing to lose. Like, what's the worst case scenario? You add him, put him on IR, and he never returns.
Taking up no space.
Yeah. So
I would do it.
As long as you don't have to drop someone significant.
Yeah. Who would you pick up for waivers? Booker, Renfro, or Gore?
If you don't need anything this week, it would be Booker, just in case he starts this week or Jacobs gets hurt along the way. If you need someone right now, it would probably be Renfro because either he's got a great matchup against the Jets. Maybe Aguilar's out. And again, the way to beat the Jets is via the pass. So, I'd probably go Booker. But I hope you don't need someone this week because then you're taking a risk that Jacobs plays. But Booker could play this week, and maybe this Jacobs injury is longer than this week, and then you have Booker for a couple weeks.
Yeah, and honestly, at this point, it's kind of nice to have somebody else's handcuff, even if he's not yours.
And I'm always going to, especially at this point of the year, week 13, I'm always mostly going to go with the running backs. Because a lot of these receivers, like Renfro's a perfect example. That's a guy that, all right, fine, he can give you a good week, but he doesn't have as much value as a handcuff running back that could get a role of 15 to 20 touches in the next couple of weeks. That's what you want. Those are the guys that can win you a league. These running backs that just jump into big roles and are productive for you. And especially it could be your flex potentially.
Yeah. One last question, Adam, and then we'll wrap it up since there is no Thursday night football. Big Ben or Justin Herbert?
I'm going Herbert. He's been really good this year. Even last week, which was a down game for him, he still had a productive fantasy game. Now the risk is it's the Patriots, it's Bill Belichick. We saw what they did to Kyler Murray, but they're going to keep throwing, and he's got Keenan Allen, Michael Williams, Hunter Henry, so I'm gonna go with him. Ben Roethlisberger, he put the ball in the air 50 plus times yesterday, but it wasn't a great fantasy day. And yes, Deontay Johnson dropped like 100 passes, and Claypool and Ebron, I get it. But I think they're going to have a tough time with Washington. I don't think they're going to blow this team out. So I'm going to go with Justin Herbert. And he runs a little bit too.
Oh, I got to ask you this one question because there's this one more question that I think is an important point. Alvin Kamara or Raheem Mostert?
I'm playing Kamara, man. I'm going to sink or swim with him. I know everyone is probably going to really move him down this week. And yeah, I get it. He's not top 5, but first of all, last week, they knew it was going to be an easy game. And there was no need to push Kamara, who has been on the injury report the last couple of weeks with a foot. Yes, he's not catching passes, but maybe they switch it up here. I think the game with Atlanta could be more competitive this time around. I think the score last time was 24-9, I believe, or I know it was 24-9 at some point.
Yeah.
So,
like not, yeah.
Atlanta might be a little bit more competitive this time around after they've seen Taysom Hill. So, and the other thing is too, like Kamara, even if he doesn't catch a lot of passes, he could score 2-3 touchdowns in this offense. Yeah. So I'm going to go with him.
Kyler Murray or Aaron Rodgers?
Kyler Murray, Aaron Rodgers?
That's the debate. That's the only time you're not starting Kyler.
Rodgers has just been, and I've said this, I was completely wrong on Aaron Rodgers this year. I had him buried in the rankings. But I've also said, for all those that are pounding their chest that they were on Aaron Rodgers, the people who took him as their QB2 in round 12, so you really didn't go out on a limb. Like, what was the reason? See, this is what I look at. What was the reason for Aaron Rodgers playing as well as he did this year? Because there was no indications the last 2 years that he was going to elevate his game to this level. They did nothing in the offseason.
The reason is named Jordan Love. That's the reason.
Okay. See, I don't buy that.
That's the only reason I can think of. Well, I mean, there is no reason.
And that's what people are going to say. Well, he was pissed off. No, really? So you weren't motivated the last 2 years, but because they bring in your potential replacement, now all of a sudden you're fired up? Like, I hate that. You shouldn't need that as an athlete, especially Aaron Rodgers at his age. So they didn't. We know what they did in the draft. They did nothing. We all sat there, Packers going to take a receiver. And they never did. Okay, they added Devin Funchess, who opted out. Not that he would have been a difference maker. So they didn't do anything to upgrade any of the talent on this team. So to me, there was nothing that indicated that Aaron Rodgers was going to go off like this, unless you just go, hey, he had a couple down years and now all of a sudden he's going to bounce back. But yeah, this week, Aaron Rodgers is my second-ranked quarterback. I mean, he's playing Philly, he's home, and he's just balling out right now. So yeah, Rod says I play over Kyler Murray this week.
Yeah, you guys play Aaron Rodgers over Kyler Murray. And in the meantime, we will be around for you because we know you don't have to make any decisions really until Saturday night, Sunday morning. Best time to make them is Sunday morning. We're going to be in the chat for you all week long, 24/7 at fantasyalarm.com. And on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern time, Howard Bender and I will be here and we will answer all your start-sit questions for week 13, which we get it, guys. It's a must-win week. It's a must-win week for all of us. It's time to go forward and dominate. If you have any questions, the definitive rankings are found at fantasyalarm.com. Those are Adam Ronis's definitive rankings. As Adam always says, if there are two people that are right next to each other, follow your gut because they're a coin flip. If they have a big gap, please go with Adam. He's almost always right. And well, maybe Adam doesn't say it. By the way, someone asked what you eat for snacks, and I felt like answering. He eats peanut butter. I know he eats peanut butter as a snack. What else do you eat for snacks?
Oh, you know what I just discovered that is so phenomenal? I'm addicted. Tostitos guacamole chips with avocado salsa dip. Phenomenal.
Wow. So the avocado salsa dip is its own thing in a jar.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
All right, that sounds good. Are they as good as the Chipotle chips? Do you ever just get the chips from Chipotle? They have like a lime with the salt that makes them, I think, actually addictive.
Just the chips with the guac?
Yeah, just chips and guac from Chipotle from the store.
I don't get it. I usually get a burrito.
Yeah, try the chips. They have an addictive thing to them. It's like a lime twist with the salt on the chip.
Yeah,
I think I ate it for 13 straight days once during quarantine.
Well, have you had the Tostitos lime chips? They have those too.
Well, see, now I'm thinking that might be my jam.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that I think I might like that. I'm gonna try them. All right, guys, you get all your snacks, news from us, as well as your injury reports. But in the meantime, go out, dominate,